Okay, so yeah, lovely to chat to you again today, Jandre. Guys, if you're watching, say hi in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from. It is our weekly live, and we chat all things social media and business. Hi, Jandre. Nice to have you here. I see we've got quite a few people already on. So, guys, say hi in the comments.
Hello, hello. How's it? Magriet, hope you're doing well.
Good,
Nice.
good. Yeah. Doing great. Always lovely to chat about business and social media. And yeah, last week we got quite a few questions. So if you guys have a question, anything I see here, we've got from Pretoria, quite a few people on Instagram. Please post your comments so long. So, Jandra, I see we lost you on Facebook, but you're still here on Instagram. So, guys, if you have any social media questions or business questions, so obviously I'm a social media educator. Jandre runs an amazing digital marketing business and other businesses as well. So, I'm wondering, are you guys doing reels for your Instagram? Are you guys doing reels? Let me know in the comments. We've got the car room, Rodepoort. Hi from Rodepoort, the car room. So, the car room, do you guys do reels on Instagram? Let us know how your content creation is going. So, um, I can't. Okay, so Jandre, obviously, I can't hear you now because you're only on Instagram. You can just join. I do more reels than pics. Okay, that's interesting. And how do you find it? Do you find that you get more reach with reels? The quorum is saying only on Facebook. Why not on Instagram? You know what, guys? And also, here's a tip: if you're already doing reels, do you open a TikTok? If you don't have a TikTok account yet, open a TikTok and just go and post it. So, okay, so you're back, Jandre. You know what happened with my TikTok, Jandre? So,
Tell me.
obviously, we think that TikTok is just for the younger people. And yes, I create content for Instagram and Facebook. And I've had two reels on TikTok. I literally just posted, I'm never on TikTok. And I think the one got more than 100,000 views, and another one I had two. And it was content that I already had. So I'm very much a believer of being on one platform and really understanding it, not to overwhelm yourself. But since you are creating the content, it's just as well you put it on TikTok. Do you put your content on TikTok?
To be honest with you, I'm way too. I haven't really. I'm just lazy, actually, to be honest with you. I haven't done it. I think I started last year and then it was
Mm,
just, yeah, I should. I know I should. And I'm not really
mm,
practicing what we're preaching. But at the end of the day, I'm not really a much of an organic guy. I'm more of an paid ads acquisition guy.
I hear you.
But
I
but
know.
long but long story short, I think we are streamlining our content production this year, so there will be a lot more TikToks coming.
Mm.
We can
But
literally just use all the Instagram content and reels on TikTok.
that's
It's
the
actually you
thing.
don't have to
You
recreate them. It's just I.
you
It's
don't
just a
have
logistical
to.
thing that I need to sort out in my mind,
Yeah,
and I need to pass that on
yeah.
to the right team members that can assist with that more than anything.
Yes. And it's amazing. You literally just sort of dump all your content on TikTok and some will just go viral and like, okay, that's great. It's a much easier platform to grow than Instagram and Facebook. But we also know that with Facebook and Instagram, we get better leads, definitely. I don't know if that is, in your opinion, the case as well, but just sort of growing that TikTok account, growing your brand on TikTok, since you have the content, is actually a good idea.
Yeah, well, I've run ads on TikTok for a webinar, and that was ROI positive. It was actually quite an interesting experience.
Oh, is
So
it?
yeah, this was in 2022. I think we were one of the first people or companies that were able to advertise on TikTok at the time. And now I think anybody can jump on and advertise, but this
Yes.
was now back
Yeah.
in 2022. So in 2022, we did a webinar with TikTok ads specifically, and it was ROI positive. So the amount of leads you can generate is, if it comes to quality versus quantity, you're going to generate a lot of leads at
Mm,
a much cheaper cost. But it's understanding that it's more of a numbers game on TikTok more than it is
mm,
than anything else. So if you generate 10 leads, 2 of them will be really good quality. Where on Facebook, 3 or 4 or 5 of them might be better quality. Where on Google, 7 or 8 might be better quality.
mm,
Because it's all got to do with the intent more than it is got to do with you creating the actual interest. So the better you are creating the interest of your own product, the better the quality of the leads will be. But like the nice thing is with TikTok lead form ads and Facebook lead form ads is that you can qualify people as they fill in the forms, and you can set up specific logic if statements that
mm,
people cannot really submit, or if they submit, then you'll let them know that they might not be a fit because of how they've answered the questions. So you can ensure that you do improve the quality of the leads for yourself, so that you don't have to sit hours. If you're a sole business owner, if you've got a sales guy, then that person doesn't have to waste hours trying to suss out all the leads.
mm,
You can literally build systems on the back of that to ensure that you pre-qualify and that you notify the right people of the quality of the leads as they come in. But I think most
mm,
people just don't have those systems in place, which means they end up spending hours phoning people that are just not great leads. They blame the platform as opposed to their own internal systems ultimately. And then they say, well, Facebook ads don't
mm.
work, or lead forms don't work, or TikTok ads don't work because it's all crappy leads. The reality is, no, it's always going to be
You
that way.
can.
You
Yeah,
you just need to build better systems around that so that you can streamline
absolutely.
the processes for yourself.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I think one must just go in and start playing around. So I see Minda is saying from Pretoria, super scared of reels. So Minda, I've got a tip for you. If you go to TikTok, it's much easier, or it's kind of, I don't know why, it's sort of less judgmental than Instagram, and you start playing around on TikTok. Um, and so you just get used to it. Remember, we're just scared of things we don't know. We're just scared of the unknown. So you're only scared of reels just because you haven't done it. If you if you have a video, and this is what we talk a lot about, B-roll content, you just sort of take a video of the sky or the sunset, you put a sound in front of it and maybe some text or beautiful quote. There you go. That's a reel. It's going to take you less than 5 minutes to do. So, Minda, I also do some reel tutorials on my platform, and I have to tell you, you just scared because you haven't done it. But go and try out TikTok, definitely. So, you guys on Facebook and Instagram, let us know what questions you have. I want to get back to the lead generation and the lead forms, because I think those are the easiest ads to run, and literally anyone can do it. So, what would you say, for instance, I always say, like for a real estate agent or for a car dealer, lead forms are great kind of ads. What would you say for what businesses is lead forms specifically if people don't have like a website and all of that?
Yeah, so I think you need to factor in a few things when it comes to lead form ads. The question is, are you selling high ticket or low ticket items? Number one. Are you selling more consumer facing products, or is it more B2B services at the end of the day as well? And what resources do you have on the back of your business, like a sales team, CRM, and things like that can help you streamline the amount of leads that you'll be generating and the type of leads that you'll be generating? And the reason I say those three things are very crucial is because of the fact that on Facebook, if you do run lead form ads, you can get a lot of leads at a really good cost. The problem with that will be that the quality of all the leads that come through might
Mm,
not be ideal. It is a numbers game. It is a diamond in the rough kind of scenario. You have to suss through all the fluff in order to get to the diamond. So the better you can build systems within your business to help you do that automatically, the more efficient you will be. As someone's telling me it's hard to hear. Sorry, I'm just listening. Yeah.
I can hear you. Is
Um,
anyone else having troubles to hear?
I can
So
turn my mic
otherwise,
volume up. Is my
Morna,
mic
you can
volume
also,
better?
I can hear you clearly, but we're also on Instagram. So Minda is saying, thanks, Magriet. Well, I will watch all your real tutorials. You know what? I'm actually going to make a tutorial today of exactly how to start with reels. You gave me a great idea of content. Let me know what
Mhm.
business you have, Minda, or
So
for
just,
what you want
just
to start creating.
just getting back to your question about the lead form. So, someone, so two people says battling to hear Jandre. Uh,
It is also there is a maybe they can hear you now. Can you all hear Jandre better now?
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, you're nice and loud now. I can hear
Okay.
you very
Is that tell
clear.
me Okay, I hope this is better for everyone. Guys,
Okay,
everybody,
so
let me know.
while
Please
he's
just put a
fixing,
just let me know. Now we can
now
hear you.
I can
Great.
hear you. Okay,
All right.
also post your questions on ads or whatever you have. Okay, perfect. So we're
Cool.
talking about lead ads and for what kind of businesses you can do lead ads. Let's just quickly explain to people. So lead ads is literally in the Facebook Business Manager, and you say, I want to create an ad, and it must be a lead form. And then you have the ability to actually create lead ads. And I think that's a great way for a business to start if they're not running ads yet.
Well, I mean, just to provide the context that a lead ad is something that opens up instantly on Facebook and it doesn't take you off of Facebook, which means that if you do not have a website, that a lead form ad is a great way for you to collect data and potentially find new customers or clients for your business, because you don't need the website per se or the technical abilities to do anything but just run the lead form ad, which is very simple to do in itself. So getting back to the question of what businesses this is amazing for, I would say it's not so much about the type of business it's good for. It's more got to do with how the business is structured to deal with the leads that you'll be generating, because you will be generating a lot of leads and you will need a process that can help you filter those leads, because not all of those leads are going to be great quality. And this is where people end up blaming Facebook or TikTok. They'll say, well, the platform doesn't work because I get a lot of crappy leads. The problem is that is how it is in business. Just to put things in perspective, we're an agency. We generate 200 leads a month. Out of those 200 people, 100 people jump on a call. Out of the 100 people who jump on a call, we only pitch the services to maybe 10 or 15 of them. And out of 15 of them, maybe 8 clients sign. So it's understanding that you're growing your business is purely a numbers game. We had this exact conversation yesterday with a business that we might be buying into, which is a car wrapping business, and it was the exact same scenario. The founder mentioned that he's tired of sending quotes and hearing back that the quotes have not been accepted or they've gone with someone cheaper. And then when you prompt and go deeper into that specific pain point, you realize, well, he sent 8 to 10 quotes that week or that month, and that is, not enough to really get positive feedback from. It is a numbers game. So for every 10 quotes you're going to send, you're only going to get 2 accepted. So you need to work out what the unit economics are of the business, and then go, well, now it's a numbers game. Now we need to scale those numbers and build systems on the back of that to accommodate and find the good quality leads. So just to finalize this question, Magriet, so it depends on how your business is structured. If you have, for example, a sales team that can suss through all those leads, then lead form ads will work great. If you don't, you're going to have to build certain systems in place, maybe like a qualification question in the lead forms, so that if you download the lead forms, all you have to do in the Excel sheet is just look at it's one specific question or 2 specific questions that you can ask, and you only look for the leads that have answered those questions to your preference and to your liking, and you can start phoning those people immediately, as opposed to wasting your time on dead leads. The problem is people just ask the basic questions when it comes to lead forms as well. They ask name, surname, email, and contact number. They don't ask additional questions that can help you qualify the lead better, so that when you had to download the lead form sheet, or if it had to be automatically imported into a CRM, your salesperson doesn't know where to prioritize his time. So if you can ask specific questions that can notify your team of what the quality of that lead is at the end of the day, your team can then start to spend, or you as a sole business owner can then start to spend most of your time prioritizing the leads that are better fit. And that is how you maximize lead forms. It works well for almost any business. We've done it in the past. We sometimes still do it depending on the strategy that we want to focus on. We have a schools that do it. We have a big private school that we work with, who we run lead forms with. They spend hundreds of thousands of rands a quarter on running lead forms on TikTok and Facebook. It works extremely well for local businesses like beauty clinics. So it's understanding that it could work well for auto dealers too, depending on the questions that you ask and how efficient your sales team is. But if you find yourself selling higher ticket services, so for example, we have a decking company that we work with. Sorry, what's in the background? Is that a? I think it's a. Is it a pen clicking or something? Was that you?
That's me.
Sorry, I was like, what is that? Is that me? No, I don't have a pen. So so at the end of the day, we work with a decking company, obviously, who sell much higher ticket items. You know, doing your deck over or
Mm.
building a deck for yourself becomes quite a pricey thing. So lead form ads in that case might not work that well, and the reason for that is because you can't give enough information as a business to get the person on the other
Mm.
side to understand what the total valuation might be for that specific deck. So you're going to get random people just inquiring that might want to build a deck for like $10 or $100 or $1,000 or and you're going to end up generating some crappy leads with that mechanism. So you want to rather drive people to a landing page where you can give them more information on the type of decking that you do, and maybe by doing that, by giving them more information, the lead will be a higher quality lead as well. So again, that depends on the service. I'd say the higher the ticket service, the more you might want to drive them to a website. The lower the
Mm.
ticket service, the more you might want to consider lead forms. At the end of the day, whilst having the necessary automated systems in place to help you qualify those leads.
So there's two things. I want to just go back to what you said, that it's a numbers game. But before we do that, because I think that is one of the most important things, and I think that a lot of people miss. Yula is asking, please give an example of a question like that. So Yula, to give you an example, I used to run lead ads for a business that did bumpers for cars. So I would say, okay, get a free quote. You're interested in a free quote for a bumper, or it was trolleys for a buckies. And then the question I would ask is, what model vehicle do you drive? So they had to say whether it's a Toyota Hilux or whether it's a Ford Ranger. So with asking that question, when someone's not really interested, they're not going to answer the question. So it's sort of putting that barrier, only the ones that are really interested now, because now they have to write in Hilux. Another question that you can use is if you have a higher ticket, or you want to make sure that people do actually have money, you can say, are you currently in a financial state to invest in your business, or to invest in? I would ask, when I had an agency back then, I would tell people, do you currently have money to invest in marketing? Now, if someone says no, I'm totally broke, then number one, they're not going to be able to spend money on ads, and they're not going to be able to afford my fee. So why would I want to spend my time having a meeting with them? So that's a question like that. In your case, I think to do with health, you can ask a question of, have you tried different diets before, or do you have this specific issue? So that you can know the people you are gathering with the lead forms actually know that they are, number one, completing the form, and they are your ideal customer. So that's from
Yeah,
my side, just an
I
example.
think I want to just say, like, I don't like giving black and white advice because every business is different. Because I know there's someone going to be out there who say, well, this is what's worked for my business. And the reality is, there's many ways to skin a cat. That's the one thing that people need to
Mm.
understand. What you do need to understand is the context to why these platforms work or why lead forms work. So when you understand the why on why it actually works, like it's convenient, someone doesn't have to leave the platform, but you also understand the cons. So you understand the pros and then you understand the cons, which is because someone hasn't been to your site, they're not 100% sure of what you do. Because the only information that you could give them was a ad with a video or a blurb or a text image, then you need to understand that they have limited knowledge on the actual product that you're trying to sell. So somehow you're still going to have to bridge that gap, whether it's over a call or a couple of series of emails, or whether it is a Zoom meeting. You're still going to have to bridge that gap. And this is where driving someone to a site will lead to a higher quality lead, because the person had the 50 seconds to maybe 2.5 minutes max of reading up on your services and understanding what you do and looking at some of your testimonials. So driving someone to a site will always have a higher intent and a higher quality, and lead forms will have, I would say, less quality, but you can generate a lot more demand or a lot more, people as leads for the business. You will just have to build the necessary systems in place to filter through those leads. If you have one salesperson, for example, then why not drive them to a site and make sure that everybody who comes through the site gets phoned? Because if you've gone through the site, the chances are you're probably a better quality person. that you want to do business with. If you have a series of salespeople, like Spark Schools, they have a sales team that constantly phones leads all the time. Therefore, lead forms work perfectly because they can suss through all those leads accordingly and phone the people that they want to phone. The nice thing about lead forms is because you can generate so much at such a low cost, you can put all of those people into your ecosystem, and the people who don't have money to buy from you today might have money to buy from you in the future. So you can use it as a lead nurturing strategy where you actually plug those people into your email list, you plug them into your remarketing list, etc., and you can stay top of mind about your services and your company to those prospects, so that when the time comes when they can afford the service, or when they have gone with someone else and had a crappy service and now they want to pick another supplier, that you're the first person they potentially think of. And then most likely they're also happy to spend more because they know that spending their money on the cheapest solution is not always the best thing to do either.
So we've got 3 questions that we just want to answer. But before that, I think there's just something very, very important. We always talk about generating the leads, and you touched on it, but I just want to highlight the fact that, number one, you said it's a numbers game. What does it mean if you go? It's sort of like the whole sales game, and I think a lot of business owners, they're in business because they're passionate about what they do, but they don't understand how important the sales part of that is. It's a numbers game. But then the second thing about generating leads, it's a follow-up game. So what you said is, if someone is interested in your service 6 months from now, are they going to know from you? Are they going to know who that person was? So when they see your ad for the first time, it could start opening their mind to this product, and starts that desire. But then the desire might grow, or maybe their life situation currently is not, they're busy moving, but they want your product. They just don't want it right now. And a big problem is, okay, now you've learned to generate leads, but you don't follow up. And that is literally 80% of the effort you put in generating leads, that you are leaving money on the table. So I think those 2 things are super important, and that is what every single business can do better, is that follow up on the leads is super important. And one way to do that is if you can, like you say, in your ecosystem. So what do you mean by that? Have them in an email sequence, maybe have them on WhatsApp, or if you don't have that, have them on an Excel spreadsheet. If you call them, right next to their name, this is what this guy said. Yes, I'm interested, but whatnot. Ask them, okay, can I call you a month from now? Make a note, and then you do that. I feel with the follow-up, and it's also something that I've also learned from you, Jandre, on, just following up more, because it's so much easier to sell something to someone who's already heard of you and seen you. They haven't bought yet, but we always want to chase new leads. What about the people that have inquired once? Where are they 6 months from now? Aren't they now ready to buy? So
I think if we have to unpack that in a way that everybody can understand, you need to understand that there's 2 processes that you need to be aware of if you want to generate sales. It is the demand, or the demand generation process, or the attention grabbing process, if you will. That's step 1. And then there is the conversion process of literally converting the demand and the attention that you have generated. So by running a lead form ad, you are creating demand and you are creating the attention on the product or the service that you're selling or around your business. But then you need a conversion strategy in place in order to convert that attention. And I think this is what a lot of people don't understand. They completely neglect the conversion process. They think that the attention grabbing and the demand generation process is enough, and that's just not the case, purely because of the fact that there are many, many businesses out there who do the exact same thing. So if you're not going to plug in a conversion system into your business, then people are just going to, give their money to someone else who's willing to put in the time and the effort to convince them that their services is worth taking. So we think that if someone is interested, we can just send them a quote and then they're going to get back to us. No, that person went to 10 other companies, they got 10 other quotes, and now they are deciding which company to choose. So the question is, how can you follow up more effectively, more frequently, in a way that obviously doesn't annoy the customer or the client, so that they are convinced at the end of the day, after the whole process that they've gone through to make sure that they don't waste their money and that they don't get screwed over, that they actually pick the right business in this, you know, theoretical or hypothetical situation, your business. And that's really how we need to think about it. Is there's the demand generation process, there's a conversion generation process, and the conversion generation process has also got, I would say, two things underneath that we need to consider. It is frequency, how frequently you follow up, and how well you are able to handle objections. Because people will have objections. Can I trust you? Am I going to get value for my money? I think this is too much to pay for the deck that I want to build, or this is too much to pay for a psychiatric appointment. I saw there was a comment on the psychiatric evaluations or assessments earlier on. The reality is you need to be able to handle those objections efficiently and effectively if you want to convince the person on the other side that your services are worth buying into. So under the conversion process, you have frequency, how frequently you're following up, and alongside that, you have how well you actually handling those objections so that someone will be convinced that you're actually the best company to go with. And most business owners just focus on demand and attention grabbing strategies. They don't focus on the conversion process. They don't do it. If they do try and convert people, they don't do it frequently enough. And if they do it frequently enough, they don't do it well enough to convince the person on the other side. So those three things as a whole, which is technically one process, I think is missing when it comes to most business owners and why people struggle to convert leads.
It's almost like having a jug full of holes and you keep on pouring water in. So you are creating the demand for the customer, but then they go and buy from someone else because you didn't convert them, then someone else converts them. So I see Lifestyle Awnings Cape Town saying the lead generation form is just the generation, or it's just generating lead. It's not sales. You need to convert the leads into sales. Absolutely. So we've got a few questions. There we've got one: small business making specialized soy candles, very competitive environment. What advice in advertising for me? I missed that first one.
Small business making specialized soy candles, very competitive environment. What advice in advertising for me? So it's not about advice. It's about you need to understand how this environment works. And then you can come up with your own, I would say, strategy that is contextual to your business, the resources that you have as well. So if you're in a very competitive industry, the question is, how are you going to stand out? So the quicker you can stand out, the better you can stand out, the more attention you will be able to grab, and the easier it will be to convert the attention as well. So I am a big believer in that every business needs a unique selling point. You cannot operate in an industry if you do not have some unique edge. Otherwise, you're just a number in the industry. So when we came into the advertising space, there was already numerous advertising agencies in 2018. And what I asked myself, I was like, if I'm going to build an agency, what kind of agency are we actually going to build, number one, and how are we going to be different? So we built an advertising agency, and the difference was we actually focus on strategies that move your bottom line. We were one of the first bottom line focused digital agencies in South Africa, which is why we grew quickly in a very competitive environment. So if you are in a competitive space, the question is, how can you stand out? If you don't have anything at your advantage or in your business that you can leverage to stand out from the noise that you find yourself in, then you just don't have a great business, unfortunately. And that's just the hard truth. Many business owners don't have amazing businesses. They have very mediocre businesses, and you need to ask yourself a question. Do you want to slug along with this mediocre business, or do you want to build another business or a better business in a different industry that you will find more leverage so that you can actually make more money for yourself? If you have a passion for candles and you find yourself in a very competitive environment, it is your number one priority to find out how you can be different. That is the first thing that you should do. Then once you find a way to be different...
If you could give an example of what would you say could be a unique selling point with candles?
So here's the thing, right? I have zero knowledge on the candle industry. I'm not going to pretend like I know how to be different. But here's a hypothetical scenario. We are in the fragrance industry, and we do inspired by fragrances. We have launched our own e-commerce store in June. And if you look at the fragrance industry, and if you look at the inspired by fragrancy, where you sell big name fragrances at half the cost because you're not claiming to be that product, but the product smells very similar to the main item that people want to buy. That industry in itself is already saturated. But what we did was we went with inspired by fragrances, and we just tried to have a bigger variety than most other companies. So we have the largest variety of inspired by fragrances in South Africa, number one. Number two, the company, because of the variety that we have, we started converting a lot more people in ratio to the numbers that we were driving to the website. So our conversion rate on the site was a lot higher than most other competitors. So we literally went from 10,000 Rand in May to now averaging 700K a month. Last month we did 600K. In December we did 450. This month we're going to do over 700,000 Rand. And the reality is we continue to scale that business because we.
Let's just stop there. So you were December. December 10,000. Was it 10,000 in December? When?
No, we were 10,000 in May. So May we did 10.
In May.
June we did. Yeah. So
that's incredible.
In May we
that's
did 10.
Incredible.
In July I think in July we started getting to 100. August we did 180. September and October we were around the 200s. In November we did 350. December we did 450. Jan we did 600. This month we're on track to do over 700. And the reality is, to get back to the candle question, is what we're doing now is we're taking scented candles and we're infusing inspired by fragrances. So we're looking at going, how can we combine inspired by fragrances with candles and scented candles? So we're trying to make candles that have inspired by scents. So you can have a candle that smells like Chanel. You can have a candle that smells like Invictus for men. So it's understanding that you need to find ways to innovate your business and create unique selling points for yourself so that you can stand out from all the noise. Period. If you can't do that, then you're always going to struggle to convert customers and clients to buy from you. That's just unfortunately how it is.
There you are. Okay, sorry, I thought I lost you. Okay, so what I take from what you just said, Jandre, is you are what I get or what I sense. You guys can tell me if you also sense that. So it's not about, will I be successful? Won't I be successful? And it actually adds to what you just said. Some people are just mediocre. Some businesses are just mediocre. So have you made the decision to be successful? Because if you've made that decision to be successful, you will be successful. Because there's no way that you went from 10 to whatever, just being mediocre. It's sort of, for me, I sense that certainty of, we're going to make this work. So it's sort of like you view business different than maybe most people. You're not on the back foot and see what comes my way and see, am I going to make it? Am I not? Versus, I've got a plan. I'm starting this business from scratch and I'm going to grow it. And yeah, that's just what I get from this conversation, or just this whole example. So even before strategies and all of that, it's a mindset thing, like, have you decided to be successful or not?
So yeah, it's understanding that mindset is crucial, but the reality is, once you've adapted the mindset to going to be successful, I'm going to be successful, you need to understand that now you need to take action. So the biggest thing in any industry is, what's going to make you unique? What's going to make you stand out? People are always looking for something new. When you find yourself in an industry that's selling a product that everybody else is selling, you are going to decrease your own conversion rate. Why? Because if there's one person supplying laptops, there's only one person to buy from and nobody else, which means that everybody who wants a laptop can only buy from that one guy. When you have 10 people selling laptops, then the chances of you getting a customer is 1 out of 10. So once someone has inquired with you, you're going to know that they're going to Google all the 9 other companies, and then they're going to get a quote for a new laptop from them as well. So what's going to happen now is that your chance of converting a customer has gone from being 100% if you were the only one to 10%, because now there's 9 other competitors, including your business, which makes it 10. So now you've got a 10% chance. So the question is, cool, if I'm going to have a 10% chance in this industry of winning, how can I increase my odds to 20% and 30%? And that's where you can say, look, I'm going to sell you the same laptop as a competitor, but I'm going to give you free shipping. Or I'm going to sell the same laptop as a competitor, but I'm going to give you a free mouse pad with it, a mouse and a mouse pad with it, which they can't afford to do or that they don't want to do. And this is how you can start to stand out within your industry, create more value, and this is how you're going to increase the amount of quotes and leads that actually come through your pipeline, because you need to find a way to stand out compared to the competitors. If you don't stand out and not able to add more value than them, then you're going to lose, period. So do you want to lose? No. Mindset. I don't want to lose. I'm going to win. Cool. Next step. How am I going to be different to my competitors? And how I'll be able to crush it and ensure that I have a higher conversion rate when it comes to my quotes or the traffic to my site.
So you know what? So people are asking for the link to the fragrance, and I'm thinking, why? we should do live selling. Like, have an offer up. Like, guys, you can get this now while we are live. Click on this link. Like
I
they
actually
do
can't
in
comment, but
China.
you can tell them it's
Yeah,
sentimental.co.za. Like I
it's
can't comment on
sentimental.
sentimental.co.za.
That's
Sentimental spelled,
sentimental.
yeah, sentimental spelled with like sentimental. I'll pop it to you on WhatsApp, and you can maybe just share it as people. But I can
Okay.
show you the stats. I don't also just want people to think that I'm making this stuff up, right? So let me just share my screen here.
Okay.
I don't want to use this as a bragging exercise, because that's not what it's about. We've done this many times.
Yeah, I
Clubhouse.
know
So it's,
you
so
hate
it's so it's
hate
no
bragging.
it's no surprise that we got it right. But the reality is, if we go back to May last year, because I know there's going to be people sitting here like, he's talking bullshit, that's impossible. So we started in May, we did or June. May we did 13, June we did 11, we did 100,000, 180, 165, 188, 352, 451, 600, and this month already we've on 200,000. Now, what is the day today? We're on 200,000. Let's divide it by 8 days times 29. So we're on track to do 725,000 this month. So that's really the long of the short of it, is that it is possible to do well for yourself in a competitive industry. You just need to ask yourself how you're going to be different and how you're going to offer more value than anybody else and increase the odds of winning.
Absolutely. Well, someone is saying that's inspirational. But yeah, Jandre, have you seen those people in China that does the live selling? Like, it feels like this is a product you must try on live selling.
I'm not here to sell the product. If you want to go check it out, you guys are welcome to. But yeah, I think from my side, thanks for those asking as well. But I think it comes down to just trying to be unique. So no matter what business you are, just you need to find a way to be unique, because that's the quickest advantage and leverage point that you can create for yourself. And I would say there's businesses who might be limited with their creativity and imagination on how to stand out and how to be unique. And maybe you're someone who has a lot of fear in your life, or maybe you are someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of resources. You would believe that you don't have enough resources to make this successful. Then the quickest way to stand out is just to be you, because nobody else can be like you. So be the person who is the face of the brand, who is selling those candles. And what's going to happen is, because people are going to buy into your personality, they then going to start buying into your candles. There's many influencers out there who's doing the exact same thing. They're selling the exact same product, sometimes crappier quality at a higher price, which means there's very little value in it for the person buying it. But because they like the person and who they are, they buy the product regardless. Now, what I'm trying to say is, like, don't you go and sell crappy products to other people and leverage your personality to do that. Don't do that. But if you are sitting there with a limited imagination on how to be unique, then put yourself in front of the audience and use yourself as the unique element in the business.
So Gerard is saying, what about services relating to career counseling and psychometric assessment? So in your case as well, it's a lead generation business. This is exactly what I do. I generate thousands of leads a month. I present to them what I can do for them, and people sign up. So in your case, definitely what we do is live webinars, having so many live webinars where people can see, is this for me? Is it what I need? Is it going to work for me? Do I resonate with this person? And then from there, sell. So that is definitely what I would recommend. But also having something like an email or a WhatsApp contact list. So a lot of people would watch 5 or 6 of my webinars, or 3. And they would only much later have a need for the product. So it's also about understanding that You're planting the seeds, like one of my members and coaches, Ray, always says, you're planting a seed, but now you must go and water it. Now you must keep giving them the information they need to water that seed so it can start to flower, so that they get ready. How do you do that? This is where your organic social media content becomes very important, because people are learning so much. For instance, on my social media, there's so much free content that people can just go and learn. And when they are not ready to buy, maybe they don't have the money to invest, I tell them, well, go and learn, grow your business. When you've grown your business, come back to me. And that is what people do. So having a lot of resources, and especially in your industry, because it's a very personal industry as well, you do the tests I get, and you do the career counseling. So here's the thing, and I spoke to my members about that this week. You have to become known in your industry as a leader and as an expert. And this is different than just merely having a personal brand. A personal brand is just people knowing you. Everyone already have a personal brand, like your family and your friends. Being an authority or a leader in your industry means when someone talks about this specific industry, your name will come up. When someone says, oh, we've got a career day at school, who can we ask to do the talk? Who do they ask? They should ask you. Your name must come up. So this is exactly the strategy that I followed. I wanted to be the go-to social media coach in South Africa. So what happened? I positioned myself as that. I would reach out to publications, so I get published in. I've been published in so many publications on television, so that people can view me as the authority in the industry. And now, when anyone needs advice, so every week a radio station would call me, oh, why don't you just give us advice on this or on that, because I've positioned myself. And that is exactly what you must do. So it's two things. The one is building your industry authority. It's like a personal brand, but it's more specific. It's a personal brand in your specific industry. How do you build that? By sharing valuable information so that people see maybe someone else in your industry is bigger, or collaborations that can pull up your brand. If you are unknown, do collaborations with other people, and maybe go and contact schools, and then cross share that on social media. I have this one newspaper article of mine, and that was way back in, I don't know, 20 whatever. And what I did is I contacted all the newspapers in Bloemfontein, and none of them wanted to pitch. Then I contacted the one again, and I said, listen, yeah, I've got an event for business owners. This other newspaper wants to come. I just confirm whether you're coming or not. It responded. And then they said, no, they're coming. They're sending a journalist. What did they do? They published a picture of me in the newspaper. It's a very small one. It was a small community one. Saying social media expert holds business talk. So now there I have it printed on paper. So who can say I'm not the expert, But before that, I was not known. So now I became known only in my city. And then I could share that on social media. So other people could see from other towns and other cities, there is a social media expert. Very important to continuously, it's a long-term thing. You have to continuously build your brand authority. If you do something like that, if you're on any teaching kind of coach, this is for coaches, consultants, any of those. And then also I spend a lot of money on paid ads as well a month. So that's my 2 cents on this.
Love it. Is there any other questions we can answer?
Yes, here's one on property.
What is the best way to approach real estate properties for lead generation? I mean, lead forms, again, for this actually works. Like, we've actually worked with realtors and with real estate agents and companies. I think we've worked with Remax at some point. And lead forms worked pretty well back then. Now I can only imagine how well they would do right now in the new era of lead forms, because lead forms have gone such a transformational shift over the last 3 or 4 years that you can ask all these different questions. You can do all kinds of logic and conditional formats. So I think lead forms is a great place to start. I would start with Facebook, and I don't know if this is B2C. I don't know if this is commercial property or residential property, but if it's residential, I think Facebook can do really well. You can literally target people who are literally I can't remember what was the exact targeting that we've used that works so well. I'm trying to give you guys the best advice. But what we've done in the past was target people who just moved up from Cape Town, because a lot of those people So not from Cape Town specifically, but who's just moved into an era, a region or a city, who's recently moved, really, I think is the audience called on Facebook. And what that means is most of those people rent in the beginning. So most of those people rent because they haven't found a place to buy yet. They're not sure where to buy, what suburb to buy. But what happens is those people move up. You run a Facebook ad saying interested in houses, let us help you find one. Something like in those lines. Those people are keen to inquire because they just moved up and they are looking for a place to potentially settle down. I can't remember the other targeting audiences that we've used. I'm trying to give you guys some practical tips. This was now many years ago. Lookalike audiences, we've used. I mean, Google Ads can also work really well. That might just be a bit more expensive depending on the budget that you have. The cost of per click might be a little bit higher because you will be competing with some bigger brands, and also more people are on Google because the people who are searching for those properties, there's a much higher intent for it. So therefore, you will pay a little bit more. But yeah, the reality is lead form ads will work if you want to give it a go. It's just who you're going to be targeting that's going to define whether it's going to be a success or not, and what questions you're going to be asking on the back of that audience that you're actually showing the ad to. So testing is going to be crucial.
So I see Darren Angel is saying, my client sold a house of messenger campaign that was automated. Lead forms also work well. Just once again, from my side, Mornay, you're also in an industry where people need to know about you. If I like, for instance, my dad wanted to buy a house now in another place, and I said, Dad, I know this estate agent or that one. It's once again the same, building authority around the fact that you are the go-to person in that specific industry. So on the one hand, you always have two things running in together in conjunction with each other. The one is building your authority as the industry leader. And you could do that, for instance, by it's the beginning of the year and you could write a blog article, or you could do a video, or you could open a YouTube channel, or you could go on Instagram and tell people this is what the property market is doing, or are you a buyer? This is what you need to look out for. Or you give advice on what is going on in the industry, but things that people really want to know. Then they start to listen to you, and then they're like, oh, that guy knows what he's doing. Because with property as well, people need to trust you. There's so many estate agents, Once again, how are you going to stand out? Like Jandre said earlier, how are you going to be, people will remember you? What are you going to do? And secondly, how are you going to make sure that people trust that you are the real deal? You are the guy that they need to contact, or your business. Building that brand authority. And that is something a lot of people don't want to do. But I actually helped an estate agent in Stellenbosch, and we started off, but then he sort of like went in another direction. It actually took a sabbatical because he had enough money. But what we did is we actually branded him as the industry expert, and we started creating content around that, which was like, for instance, funny reels that we started making, giving some advice, but real things that people on the ground can grasp. So we grabbed the attention, and that worked extremely well. People started thinking of him as the person. And then you can also say, but do I want to be known in the luxury real estate, or more the investment real estate? So you can sort of like say, this is my speciality. Yeah. So definitely also strategy for you.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of, if you were a real estate agent and you're looking for people who might want to buy or sell their house, then you can, there's a bunch of real estate targeting options, property targeting, real estate targeting options that you can find on Facebook ads, which will be pretty cool. If you're someone in the property space and you're looking if you're looking for a coaching program, I've got a friend who actually has a coaching program called Digital Agent, and he teaches real estate agents specifically. and he does pretty well. So he focuses on helping them get mandates. So he helps them get sole mandates from people, so that obviously you have the only right to sell that property above anybody else. And yeah, I think from my side, definitely worth testing it out. But again, everything is a test. Like, I think this is also what people don't understand, is that unless what you're doing is 100% contextual to a guru that's giving you the advice, everything else is going to have to be a test. What I mean by that is that if I want to get the best contextual advice, I'm going to go to someone who owns an agency that's 20, 30, 40% bigger than mine, and I'm going to ask him what is the best advice that he can give me as a next step. So he's going to ask me, Jandre, tell me what you've done, and let's look at what you haven't done yet, and therefore I think these things will be best for you because I've been in this position 3 years ago or 2 years ago. If someone is not in that specific lane, and they are not necessarily 20, 30, 40% ahead of you, the advice that you're going to get is always going to be a little bit fluffy, unless they actually in the same lane and only a few steps ahead. So it's up to you to test and take the knowledge and contextualize it for yourself. And this is what I don't like about a lot of coaches and gurus, and I think we talk about this all the time, Magriet. It's like sometimes people just give advice because they think that's what's going to work best. It's not so much about giving the advice and giving them people the roadmap. It's getting them to understand why the roadmap looks the way it does. Because if you can get someone to understand, they can then contextualize the information for themselves and then use the resources that they have, because nobody knows the resources that they have. You can tell someone, I've got this much money. You can tell someone, I've got these amount of salespeople, but you know how your team operates better than anybody else. You know how much money you have and what your cash flow and income and expenses look like better than anybody else. So the only thing someone can do is give you advice and help you understand why the advice is advice, so that you can contextualize it and then apply it and leverage the resources that you have in order to build the best possible plan for yourself.
I just want to add something. I just want to say something about real estate agents, because this is so interesting. So, and it's also about understanding that marketing has been there since forever. It's about how do we apply it on the new platforms. So what do real estate agents do generally? They put their face on billboards or on boards. You see real estate agents, their face on bins. Okay, right? The other thing they do, they go around in post boxes. They give you a little envelope. So the other day I got one, and I actually used this as an example. It was an envelope with a nice letter, and it was cold. It was in the winter, and with a sachet of coffee, you know, a cappuccino. So what did they actually do? On the letter, on the pamphlet, there was a nice recipe for soup. There was the sachet for a cappuccino, and then they gave information about. They gave educational information on that, and then it was signed off by the real estate agent. That is the strategy. Why did they use that strategy all the years? Because it worked. So what did that strategy do? It created authority. It created the personal brand. So what I'm trying to tell real estate agents, look, you guys have been doing that for the last 100 years. Why? Because it worked. But the platform now has changed. Exactly what you've been doing for the last 100 years, move that to an online platform. Instead of putting it in the post box, do it in an email. Instead of posting your face on a billboard or on a dustbin, do it on Instagram. Instead of giving me advice on a piece of letter that I'm not going to, you know, you don't have any data of, did I read that? Didn't I read that? I can't click on anything. Do exactly what you guys did for the last 100 years, but just change the platform. So basically, when I think of real estate agents, I find it so fascinating that what has worked for them the last 100 years, suddenly they don't know. When we tell them to do that online, they're like, no, but we can't do that. It's exactly the same strategy. It was so interesting, Jandre, because look at the free gift they gave me. It was a cappuccino. So I said, yeah, this person is so in touch with me because number one, it's raining. So they gave me something that was relevant. They gave me a chicken soup recipe that was relevant to the time that we were in. What does it do? It makes me like that person better. The problem is, what did I do with that piece of paper? I chucked it in the dustbin, because that is not how we consume information anymore. So exactly what you did for the last 100 years, put it on platforms where people consume the information. And specifically, real estate agents, what I don't understand with them on social media is that they don't translate the strategy to an online world, because they are building a personal brand offline on billboards, because that's why they all have their faces,
Yeah,
because
100%.
they understand that, or the people that invented the real estate strategy understand that people work with people. What they don't understand is that the way we consume information has changed. We don't consume pamphlets anymore. We don't consume physical things anymore. So exactly what you did, just do that online. That is the strategy.
But very, very true. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it's just also important to say that it's not that pamphlets necessarily don't work anymore, because there's still people who do consume that. But what we need to understand, the efficacy of it is lowering every single year. So it's looking at it going, it's like the conversion rate of pamphlets is where in the past you could get away with distributing 10,000, you're going to now have to distribute 100,000 in order to get the same effect, because more people are becoming immune to actually reading the flyer. That's what people need to understand. So if you want to drop 100,000 flyers, cool. And if the 10 people that actually inquire because of the 100,000 is still cost effective for your business, because you can't run ads and you haven't figured out ads yet, then keep doing that. But also learn how to run ads. So it's just like, eventually next year you're gonna have to drop 200,000 flyers to get the exact same response, which means the price of acquiring now a lead is doubled. So if you don't figure out how to lower your actual lead cost with your flyer strategy, then you need to start learning how to do other tactics or implement other tactics and strategies that's actually generating demand at a much lower cost. And that's what social media and paid advertising allows us to do.
Yeah. So I have to go. Jackie, I can so lank call join. I have to go. I don't know if you want to stay on another 5 minutes, or do you also need to go? Guys, once again, it was lovely. You're always amazing to chat. Please keep on talking to us. You're welcome to drop us a mail, or I'll go and answer some of the questions in the comments afterwards. Thanks so much, Jandre. I feel so energized now. It's always so much fun. I love talking about social media and business. So it was great catching up, and I hope you have a great week. Hope all of you also have a fantastic week, and we will see you again next week this time.
Much love. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.